Michael, first off, Liam Bridcut, what's the latest on his calf issue?
Don't know is the honest answer, Rob. He's having a scan this morning. They wanted to let it settle because there's a bit of swelling there. So obviously, as you probably know, like the more swelling it is, the more difficult it is to sort of get to the root of the problem. But so I can't tell you if it's a grade 1, grade 2. I don't think it's anything massively significant because we got him off the pitch as sort of quick as we could, really, in terms of him feeling it. Yeah, I'll probably know more when I get this scan back after today. But in terms of whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks and beyond, but he seems to be okay himself. He's an experienced player and he's got a vast experience of little injuries over the years and stuff like that. So I don't think he's too concerned. But obviously, we're not going to see him for at least 2 or 3 games.
It's one of those, isn't it, I guess, where it's expected with this type of season and obviously with the difficult conditions you played on Tuesday, that no matter what you and your medical staff do and precautions you put in place, these things will happen.
Yeah, they will, and I think everyone up and down the country is realising that at every level. The demands on the players is tough at times. But, we get it, we enjoy it, that's what we want to do. And the pitches, obviously, at this time of the year, they go very, very quickly from being quite firm because of frost and stuff, etc., to being really soft because of rain. And it's difficult at times to adapt to that. But obviously, Brids as well is one of the senior players in the group. So he's more likely to pick up these type of injuries than possibly some of the younger players.
And how important will his influence be, even though he's not playing, on a day-to-day basis around the club?
Yeah, it's big. It's big. He's very good around the football club, training ground. He's good in the dressing room. He's much better on the pitch for us, I've got to say that. But no, yeah, he's going to be a big loss. But from that point of view, he certainly will help and do his bit off the pitch.
The Accrington manager, John Coleman, yesterday was talking about the fact that he's not going to come to Sincilbank just for a point. He's going to come for all 3. From memory, I can't remember too many sides. Maybe Wigan is one of the only ones who seem to come to come away with a point. Has that surprised you at all this season? The fact that people have been coming to yourself as one of the better sides and not just trying to hold out?
No, not really. I mean, if you look at a couple of the games that we played, I get what John's saying there, and I'm glad that's sort of his thoughts and attitude going into the game because that will suit us. I think what all I would say is there's been quite a few teams who scored first and then for 60, 70 minutes we're having to break a block of 11 players behind the ball 30 yards from our goal, and actually one of them was Doncaster. So it's okay saying it and applying it and doing it are 2 different things, and being brave enough to do it if you go ahead in the game as well. So look, no, listen, to be fair, John and Accrington have had a good season and they were probably the better side on midweek against Plymouth, having watched the game back, and probably should have won the game. But they've got a lot of quality in them forward areas. They've got the option now of playing with a 4 or a 3, so we'll wait to see which one they decide on. But we're in a pretty good place. I know we've lost Liam, but we'll be ready for the game.
One player they have added since your last meeting, Adam Phillips, obviously, who's had a great season, or first half of the season at Morecambe. Just how quality a player is he?
Yeah, no, he's a talent, and to be fair, it's one of them where they do quite well. Certainly picking up players from like either a low division or the conference, and integrating into their group because they've got a tight knit group, and that you can tell there's a real togetherness, a team spirit, and they're almost us against the world type of attitude, and that makes them dangerous.
You've got a lot of games coming up over the next few weeks again, including the trophy. We're going to see the whole squad be used over the next fortnight.
I think it's only inevitable, really. I think it's only inevitable. I think we've got a lot of players who deserve an opportunity at some point to play, and there'll be lots of rotation, and it won't be one to try and be clever and try to outsmart people and all these things. Yes, we think they might be helpers in certain games with certain players, but the reality is if we don't do it, we'll pick up a load of injuries, and that is the bottom line. If we don't rotate and don't give people opportunities and change the team, we'll end up with 5 or 6 serious injuries.
We're going to speak to Theo Eden next. I remember probably a month or two ago when we spoke about him, you were saying about the conversation you and your coaching staff had about how you felt he was a left back, not a central midfielder, as his predominant position. Are we seeing that now that's coming to fruition with his performances in the last month?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what it was is he spent most of his career as a midfield player, but we just felt that some of the attributes that he's got, because we knew he'd played there before, would certainly allow him to really kick on as a fullback. And there were certain things that he had to learn and get better at to be able for us to stand behind them comments. But I think over the last month, like you say, his performances have stood the test of time, and he's been really good and he's been consistent, and he looks like he's enjoying his football.
And do you think those things that you felt he needed to add to his game, he's starting to add in his performances?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. If you look at, give you a really good example, Gillingham, probably Gillingham's best player, Jordan Graham, has done ever so well this year. Probably gets more crosses in than anyone in the league because of the way they set up and how they do it. And Theo must have stopped at least 70 to 80% of the times when Jordan wanted to get the ball in the box. So he's got out to defenders, stopped a lot of crosses, helped us get up the pitch with his little marauding runs that he does, because he's only little. But now and he shows decent quality in that final third. And the good thing is, Rob, is now we've got Cohen in the building, we've got an opportunity to share that responsibility now. And there'll be times where I'll pull Theo out and he'll be disappointed, but only because he thinks he can play every game. But the reality is, as we know, in such a short space of time, that's just not physically possible. He just needs to make sure that when he does play, his concentration levels are where they've been at for last month.
20 games to go, 60 points on offer. What do you think is going to be needed to be in and around that top two come the end of the season?
Well, I'm not going to tell you, am I? No, I mean, listen, we've just got, I wouldn't sound like a boring sod, but we just got to literally concentrate on game by game. I've said it to you all season, we've got our little targets and in small amounts of games that we want to keep hitting, and so far so good, we've been able to do that, and it's just stopped us thinking too far ahead of ourselves, because ultimately, listen, any team in this league is capable of losing 5 games. Any team, even the teams at the top, because it's so tight and competitive, and you can't take your eye off the ball. So we just want to make sure that if we have a poor result, we bounce back quickly like we have done in the past.